Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Londonderry Town Council meeting. Today is March 18th, 2024, and it is 7 o'clock. First, let's welcome Sean as our new town councilor. Welcome, Sean. Congratulations on your election.
Welcome, sir.
Ladies and gentlemen, please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Ladies and gentlemen, tonight's moment of silence is for all the great people of Londonderry who live here and for their safety and their well-being and their health. Thank you. So we're going to move to election of officers, but I have some remarks before we go there. So I've spent some time putting some remarks together and reflecting on some things. I've been in service to the town of Londonderry for 25 years, starting on the planning board for 10 years, beginning my 15th year on the town council, serving as the chairman for the past 6 years, and for 10 of the last 12 years. During my tenure, we have had 4 town managers, 3 police chiefs, 5 fire chiefs, multiple department heads, dozens and dozens of retirements, new hires, and many award ceremonies. The voters supported a new town hall, a police station, and 3 fire stations. When my wife's family arrived here in Londonderry, there was approximately 5,400 people. Upon my arrival, we had 19,800 people. We now sit at almost 29,000 people with between 8,000 and 9,000 dwellings. The community has grown and has changed. We have moved from town meeting form of government to a town charter form of with SB2 form of government. Some would say this was a mistake, some may not. As an original member of the Open Space Task Force, we developed a plan that the voters approved for approximately $12 million in funding over several years. The town now has controls over more than 1,500 acres of land that will remain undeveloped. This reduced our build-out capacity from 43,000 to less than 32,500. The town council presented to the voters many increases in services. The voters have approved multiple new hires for additional first responders, increased staffing levels for police, plus moving from 1 SRO in 2010 to 4 to 5 SROs today in our schools. Increased staffing from 8 to 9 fire personnel on a shift to 13. Additionally, Public Works has increased from 10 to 12 personnel to maintain over 170 miles of road. The community continues to expect excellent services from its leadership. We have had many examples of the excellent value that the people of Londonderry enjoy. One example is a home that paid $8,900 in taxes in 2009 received a bill for $10,500 today, an average increase of $110 to $120 per year, or a total of 18%, or 1.25% per year over those years. Increases varied from year to year. The average is simply an example. The goal remains the same: protect this community at all costs. We have 5 items that matter every day in town government. Police are well trained, have the equipment and resources needed to respond. Fire is well trained and have the equipment needed for respond for life safety. The roads are plowed and well maintained. Our most valuable asset is the protection of the children in the schools. We pick up the trash and the recycling. We now need to introduce a 6th item as a top priority of the town council. With the approval of the water article, the goal is to bring clean, safe drinking water to all of Londonderry. I have asked Ron Dunn to lead this effort as the water czar. Over the past year, I've been reflecting on what does the future look like. A lot has changed in the past 30 years. We have enjoyed living in an outstanding community that puts its people first, has grown, but in a controlled manner by using open space purchases and multiple development agreements. These agreements have allowed the town to offset many of the costs associated with these types of development. Londonderry has led the way in the state and the country with these types of agreements. We are currently working on additional agreements in order to grow the commercial tax base offset the growth on the homeowner, and to add to all of that, we have insulated the taxpayers from added tax burden for the building of Exit 4A based on the 1990 Boston North legal settlement. The town has also secured millions of dollars in infrastructure funding from the federal government over the last several years. It has been an honor and a privilege of a lifetime to serve and to continue to serve the community I love. I am the transplant here, never heard of Londonderry until I met my wife. Fell in love here. Little did I know the town was part of the deal. We married at St. Jude's, raised our family here, and now my children have chosen Londonderry as their home. This is my home. We have many positive things to be proud of, and always look forward, don't dwell on the past. We can do nothing about yesterday, but we can be great at tomorrow. When issues are raised, don't complain without offering a possible solution. I truly love Londonderry. My family has dedicated much of our lives to others and this community. And always remember, service above self. And with that, I'm going to offer the following motion: for Chad Franz to become the chairman and for Ted Combs to become the vice chairman, and I'll ask for a second. I need a second.
I'll second that.
All in favor, signify by saying aye.
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 Chair votes in the affirmative. Anyone opposed? Gentlemen, the meeting is yours.
Thank you, John.
Thank you, John.
I also have a couple things I'd like to say. I'd like to start out just by saying thanks to my wife. If it wasn't for you and the kids, I wouldn't be able to be here to serve the community. And all the countless time that I put in is because of your dedication to the family. So I want to say thanks to that. Being elected as new chair is both a deep honor and a privilege for me. I want to start out just by giving my heartfelt thanks to the fellow councilors for your nomination, for your votes, and your unwavering confidence to me that you've shown me in support for this role. I also want to say thanks for John. You said it perfectly in your remarks. 25 years. I want to express my gratitude to you for your ongoing and continued dedication and leadership. John, your guidance is invaluable, and I eagerly look forward to continuing to work with you as we collectively shape the future of our community and united in a commitment to our town. Additionally, I want to acknowledge Jim Butler for his dedication and spirited presence in our council meetings. Jim, thank you for your service. And best wishes to you, your wife Tony, your children, your grandchildren. I'm looking forward to seeing you continue to contribute to our town. Sean, I also want to congratulate you. Get ready. It's a lot of fun. It's a lot of time. And it's not for the faint of heart. And I think that we live, as John said, we live in the best community. And I look forward to collaborating with you and your contributions to the community and to the council. As I transition to this role, I anticipate challenges, and I expect, as our fire chief said when he was selected to be chief, I expect to scrape my knees. I'm going to make mistakes, and I'm navigating this transition with humility and a learning spirit, and I ask for your grace as we move forward. My commitment, my love for this community is boundless. While I may not always agree, we may not always agree on every single issue, I am committed, steadfast to this community and to this town, and it's my promise to navigate our differences with respect and integrity, and always putting Londonderry first, as we always have. In pursuit of a brighter future, my vision is one of unity and constructive dialogue. I believe in the power of working together, in fostering cohesion, and encouraging healthy, respectful discussion. In closing, I ask that my fellow councilors, the citizens of Londonderry, to join me in this endeavor. Let's commit to working together, to listening and learning from one another, and building a community that we all can call home. So thank you, and with that, we'll move to public comment.
Daniel Bouchard, 8 O'Connell Drive. I just want to make a couple comments. At the last council meeting, you had Mr. Butler talk about a growth ordinance, and I think that the town really needs to look at that. But I also look at some of the things that the council has done in the past that kind of hurts, when you guys supported turning over Gilchrist Road and letting that developer build that when the town had given, money away to try to protect that from being developed. I also look at when, recently when you rezoned an area to put in a hospital for, people that need it for mental health. One thing that concerns me about that is if you've watched the news lately with Hampstead, okay, all the problems they're going through. And I was glad to see Chief Butler come up at that meeting and mention, hey, this is going to put an impact on my services, on my department. And I'm sure that, the police chief is going to have the same concern. Maybe, whoever's representing the council on the planning board, I don't know if Council Combs still going to be there, but I'm concerned about that because when I look at all the issues with Hampstead, and they're up in Concord, all right? Their selectmen are up in Concord. Their police chief is up in Concord, and how it's putting a drain on their police department for services. It's going to do the same thing with us. So in the planning process, I know that when I talked to the town manager about it, he's like, they're going to pay a lot in taxes. I don't know, how much does a police officer cost us in town when we hire one guy? I mean, are we going to have to hire one guy, two people? When the police chief comes in and says, hey, my, calls for service has gone up because of, this has gone into our community. So I want you to keep that in mind, all right? Yeah, it's nice to get the tax revenue, but if we're going to be paying more for services, it's not going to be tax positive, it's going to be tax negative. Thank you.
Thank you, Dan.
Ray Breslin, 3 Gary Drive. Looking forward here, we have a lot of work to do, and we need to have a plan moving forward. We have a master plan that needs to be updated, and we need to have a vision moving forward, and particularly about really important items like water, sewer, utilities, and traffic. Mr. Butler brought up a very good point that the other gentleman just spoke about. All of this building is good in one respect. That brings in, potentially it gives jobs and it brings in tax money. Those are good, okay? But also, there are a lot of negatives that come along with that. One of them being traffic. There's been a lot of serious accidents in this town, surrounding towns. There's a lot of movement on the roads and a lot of people, unfortunately, getting injured and killed. We don't need that in the town of Londonderry. We need to be careful what we move forward with. And yes, I think Jim brought up some very good points in that regard. Perhaps we do need a moratorium on further building or further approving development. This puts a big burden on the whole town, not only with fire and police, but also with the utilities. And so please, looking forward, let's think about the decisions we make. Thank you for allowing me to speak.
Thank you, Ray.
Richard Polinsky, 89 Hall Road. This may be short, may not. Tonight on the agenda is the tax collector's agreement. Is there going to be public, is the public going to be able to speak during that?
It's an appointment. It's not a public hearing.
All right, well then, that's why I'm asking. So I'll bring it up during public comment. I looked at the agreement, and so it's an appointment, they're not a town employee, going by what's on this contract. We'll round it to $74,000. How many documented hours a week does that individual work? That's question one I want an answer for. What is their total compensation? Since I don't know why they're allowed insurance in retirement as a public official. They can take their whatever, time off they want per the contract, which again shows they're not a public, an employee. The personnel policy doesn't apply to them except for one section, class 1. I don't know all the particulars of that, but that allows them to get insurance coverage. Why is that going on? These are things that need to be answered, in my opinion, before this is voted on. Because I don't understand, no other person that's elected or appointed gets insurance, gets retirement. How many hours they working? Because I can tell you, things don't get done when it comes to that. In July last year, when I paid my tax bill, and I don't escrow, I own my house outright, my check didn't get deposited until the 24th. I dropped it off on the 5th of July. It did not get deposited until the 24th of July. So I called and found out that account, we get a 3% interest rate on that. If my check didn't get deposited, I'm sure many others didn't get deposited. How many tens of thousands of dollars would we lose in interest because they weren't deposited promptly? I'm also was told that we have a courier that comes to town hall, and this is what was told 2 to 3 times a day. Why didn't it get done? The last tax bill, it was 9 days before my check was deposited. Why? Why is this taking so long? Not working enough? Since leave is at their own discretion, is the tax collector taking time off when taxes are due and they're not getting done? We need these answered, in my opinion, before this gets approved. If there's legitimate reasons, fine. But I'd like to see how many hours a week they're working, documented hours. I don't want somebody to sit there and say, oh, they work a full week. So that's what I get to say on that. And I'd like some answers. It'd be a nice way to start off a new council by actually getting clarity and answers. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, Maria Barud. I just got a quick comment. As I was listening online, the connection is not very good. So if you guys can check it, because like if people are listening online, it's really crackly.
Thank
But
you.
all I wanted to say, congratulations, Sean. Congratulations, Chad, Ted. And I just hope that we're gonna work good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Never gotten stuck in my chair before here. My pocketbook was the culprit. I just want to say, maybe
Ms. Champa, name and
many of
address.
you know this weekend was
Ann?
New Hampshire Maple Weekend.
Ann, name
Ann
it.
Champa, 28 Wedgewood Drive.
Thank you.
Excuse me. New Hampshire Maple Weekend, and as I always do, I was down at Peterson's Sugar House and Farm, scooping the ice cream and pouring on the maple syrup. This one was a little different. On Saturday, I had a medical issue. And I want to publicly thank Officer Dan, as we all knew him when he was an officer on the police force, Mr. Dan Bouchard and his wife Christine, for taking care of me. They may not think it was a big deal, but I really do, because what I have can occur at any time, and it's disabling. So I really want to thank Officer Dan. He's here in the audience, and anyway, thank you so much.
Is there anyone else?
Afternoon, everybody. Jake Butler, 2 Danbury Court. I just wanted to give you a little update on planning board side of things. We have had a change of leadership. I am the chairman of the planning board now. Mr. Rugg is my vice chair. Lynn Wiles is the secretary, and Jeff Penta is our assistant secretary. Gonna try and come see you guys a little more often so you can hear what's going on in the planning board. More of a personal note, Mr. Farrell, thank you very much for your service, sir. Chad, you got big shoes to fill. I remember seeing you back there quite a few years ago. You were dressed similar to, as you were today, except you had a black coat on, you had a dog with you. And when I was walking out, I said, that guy's gonna do something one day. So congratulations, sir.
Thank you.
Sean, congratulations to you. Chad's not the only one with big shoes to fill. You do as well. I want to thank my father at home for a very good 12 years. The service he's given to the community has certainly inspired me to become more active in the community. And I'm sure he's watching at home for the first time in 12 years, so congratulations, Father. One last thing on Sherry. I wanted to congratulate you as well. You had some overwhelming support at the polls last week. I want to talk a little bit about the kind of person Sherry is. November of 2022 was an election season. I had a very good friend who was in a hospital, not doing too well. He actually ended up passing away 3 weeks later. All he wanted to do was vote. That was it. That's all he wanted to do, and he reached out to me. And I called Sherry, and she was there that night. It wasn't just Sherry that was there. It was John that was there as well. And it wasn't 10 minutes she spent with them to have him vote and leave. She was there for a couple hours. You are a phenomenal person, and a lot of people don't realize the amount of stuff that you do for this town. But there's plenty of us that do, so thank you. Outside of that, like I said, I'll start being here every now and then and provide you guys an update. I'm not sure if Ted's gonna stay as our liaison, or we'll be welcoming a new liaison, but either way, I'll be looking forward to it. All right? Thank you, folks.
Thank you, and congratulations on your role. Anyone else?
Tony DeFrancesco, 1 Cheshire Court. Congratulations, Council Faber. Congratulations to the new appointees. It's not a new era. It's the same stuff. Everybody moves around. It's musical chairs. The job remains the same. Congratulations to all of you. You had a report card last Tuesday, yeah? It was a big day. All kinds of excitement. It was an announcement. It was over 25,000 people. I'm sorry, 25% of the population that voted, which some people thought was good. I look at the other side and I say there's 75% of the people that are not participating. Why is that? Let's go back to what happened at the event itself. One person's opinion, you all got overwhelming support by the electorate for the 25% of the people that voted, supported what was on the warrant. Some items by a 3-to-1 margin, yeah? 2-to-1 margin. Big margins. That tells me, as a taxpayer since 1978, a lot. That tells me people are happy with what you're doing. It tells me that people are happy with the level of services that they're receiving, and that they're willing to pay for it. Not only that, but they increased the tax rate. You can talk about Democrats and Republicans. You can talk about left wing, right wing. You can talk about senior blocks of voters. But the taxpayers of this town voted by voting yes overwhelmingly on the articles to increase the tax rate, right? You are allowed to say that as you're sitting there and people come up to this dais to speak, to say, wait a minute. Yes, you did your part to raise the tax rate, but the taxpayers raised it on top of that. My second message to you is that I was concerned towards the end, right before you got your report card on voting day. I was a little bit concerned because I kept hearing, I got 6 phone calls, I got 11 phone calls. Let's talk about, help me out, I think it was 16,900 registered voters. Am I close?
About that.
Okay. 4,000 voted, give or take, round numbers. Even the dissenting votes were 1,200, 1,300. If this room was filled with 1,300 people, that would put a lot of pressure on you, right? But you got to understand, that still was not the majority opinion. 1,300's a lot. When you get 11 phone calls starting at 8 o'clock at night when you're trying to spend time with your family and your head starts spinning and your top of your head's going to blow off and you're tossing and turning all night because you're trying to figure out what to do. Keep in the back of your head that there's a lot of people out there. Not 11, not 100, not 500. 1,300 people voted no on a particular article this time. It was 1,314, actually. But 2,965 voted yes. Almost 3,000 people voted yes. That was the majority opinion. Please keep my comments in the back of your head. Understand that there's a lot of people out there. And I have to believe that the 75% of the people who don't vote are happy. Because usually happy people, besides me, happy people don't come here to talk. It's the people who are pissed off, they're angry, they can't afford something, they don't want to afford something, whatever. Now, happy people don't come, and you're representing them as well, yeah? So please, and thank you. Wonderful year. Let's have another wonderful year. Congratulations to all of you. Thank you for listening.
Thank you. Is there anyone else?
Mr. Chair.
Yes.
No, I did not have any prepared remarks. I just wanted to say thank you, John Farrell, for putting the faith in the 2 youngest elected town councilors, I believe probably in the history of the town, to be able to lead the future for the town for the next year.
like I told you
It
guys
puts
in
a
the
lot of
summer,
faith
Ted.
in us. I thank you a lot.
You're welcome. And
This
it's
was
like I
not
told you guys in
expected.
the summer,
Thank you.
10 years was enough. It was time.
Of course.
You know, I held to my word. And I want you guys to, like, carry the ball forward, and we got to go to the next level. It's up to everyone here to go to the next level.
Well,
Thank you very much.
thank you. It was fully not expected. Thank you.
All right, seeing none, we're going to close public comment. There is no public hearings today. Is that correct, Mr. Town
That's
Manager?
correct, Mr. Chair.
No new business. I actually, I do want to address something real quick. So in our town charter in section 3.2, section A under organization meetings, it talks about counselors in the election. Within 10 days, calendar days following the election, it's the purpose of taking our respective oaths, which I'm assuming we did, adopting rules and transaction of business required by law. I also want to point out in section 8.13, under committee organization, it also mentions adopting own rules. The reason why I bring that up is because I have printed out here And this is on the town website, and I can give this to the council as well, a copy of our current rules that we have been going through. I also, and no one has a copy of this, my suggestion for revised rules that have been revised. Mr. Town Manager, if you could please pass this along. I would like the council to familiarize with these. We can take a quick recess, but I don't think it's needed. I think it might only take about 30 seconds to read through. And with that, I will accept a motion. Or is there any, what do you want to do?
Just give me a second.
Yeah.
We'll just read it.
Well, if we're not going to discuss this in public, I'm going to invoke counselor privilege.
Okay.
You know, I'm not going to, if this needs to be discussed in public. If we're going to change it, are some slight changes in the rules. And I haven't read these until just right now.
I have not either.
So being that Counselor Farrell has invoked,
I haven't invoked it yet. I said we need to have a discussion before we move to a motion.
Would I suggest that we may have a discussion now?
I
I
let,
mean, that's fine.
No, I'm just saying, I'm asking.
That's all I'm asking.
I think a discussion is healthy. Let me read through this for those that are not here present that have a copy. Londonderry Town Council public comment and hearing procedure rules. To ensure orderly and productive public hearings and commit sessions, the Londonderry Town Council has established the following guidelines. These rules aim to facilitate constructive dialogue and are subject to enforcement of the chair's discretion, subject to overruling by the council. Time allotment. Speakers are granted a speaking duration ranging from 3 to 5 minutes, contingent on the session's pace and the chair's discretion. Sharing or transferring allotted time to other speakers is not allowed. Relevance during public hearings. So this is public hearings. Speakers must confine their remarks to a specific topic under discussion by the council or board. Relevance during public comment sessions. Comments should pertain to issues or public interest directly related to town governance. Agenda topics. Agenda items may be proposed by any member of the town council, subject to approval and scheduling by the chair. This ensures a structured approach to meeting planning and agenda setting, allowing for an organized discussion of topics pertinent to town governance. Prohibited conduct, profane, vulgar language or gestures, language that could provoke disturbances or insult, demean any individual, including public officials and employees, unless it pertains to their official capacities, interrupting other speakers or causing disruptions, threatening or intimidating behavior. If there's a conflict between Resolution 2011-10 and these rules, the rule shall control. These rules are designed to maintain a respectful and efficient forum for public disclosure. Compliance helps us address concerns effectively and ensures a positive environment for community engagement.
Mr. Chair,
Yes,
might I add one thing to this list?
please.
Based on the election results, would we be able to have public comment at the beginning and at the end of the meeting?
I object.
Okay. I'm just,
That's something that, needs to come forward in a much greater discussion.
I agree with John.
I mean, I also would ask that, the rules that are in place now were vetted and cleared by legal, to make sure we were doing this all properly. I mean, council can do whatever it wants, but I would suggest that you consider asking for some advice.
It seems like how Chairman France has this written is just more reorganized, and some of these items kind of condensed down compared to what is currently written. I would be open to having it be viewed by legal counsel before we adopt them, to make sure that it still matches up. But it sounds like he's still meeting with all the items that are currently in place.
Then why change them?
Yeah, I agree with, if we're going to change them, we should have legal counsel look at it just to be sure, because when you change words sometimes, it changes the definition unintentionally sometimes, and if we don't have legal look at them, we can have some issues.
Okay. So in compliance to the charter, I'll accept a motion to adopt the original, not the draft, the original minutes.
We don't have to adopt it by charter. Our rules remain in place. We don't operate the same way as the school board. We don't have to adopt annually. There's nothing in the charter that says we have to do that. I mean, maybe I'm wrong, but I don't know of anything in the charter that says we have to do anything. We can change our rules throughout the year if we want to. I mean, that's not the way I read the charter. Maybe I read it wrong.
What does the council say? What does the council want?
Can't hurt to adopt them.
I mean, from what I can tell, it seems no different than what we currently have in place. The only difference would be is it's just formatted differently. I mean, before we move anything forward, I would rather have legal counsel review everything first and give their opinions. And maybe it's just a matter of a reformatting change. But, I mean, it looks like all the same language to me. But maybe I've missed a word or two that legal needs to review.
Yep.
Okay.
So,
So we have a consensus that legal should review this document.
Definitely, yes.
Okay. All right.
so under what area of the town charter is legal reviewing this?
Good question.
I think, Mr. Chair, if I may, I think that's a good question, because the scope of the legal review can be broad or narrow. So if the scope of the review is, do the proposed minutes conform to the town charter? That's one kind of review. If the scope of the review is, do you have any other advice about what good rules of order might look like? That's another level of review. So I guess I would be looking for some guidance on how to communicate the request to council.
Okay. So I think a good way to present this to council is two questions. Do we need to, if I hear the council correctly, do we need to vote on this annually? Are we required per the charter? Number one. And number two, if they could give an opinion on the revised wording of that draft that I handed you, and I can email that to you. Sound good?
Yep.
John?
Fine.
Okay.
I think council's gonna need to tell us, nowhere in the charter that I am familiar with, does it tell us we have to do anything on an annual basis. And we haven't done anything on an annual basis in many, many years. The school board does, but that's not the way that we've been advised in the past. So, see what the new lawyer says.
Okay. Good?
Yes, understood.
All right, thank you. Any old business?
None for me, Mr. Chair.
All right, thank you. Approval of minutes, Sean, you'll abstain. Do I have a motion to accept the March 4th, 2024 council minutes?
Motion to approve March 4th, 2024 Town Council minutes.
Second?
Motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Chair votes in the affirmative. Reappointment to the tax collector.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So we annually, as the council knows, appoint a tax collector. That's required by statute. It is also required by statute to enter into an agreement with the tax collector, specifying the compensation that is covered by that agreement. The agreement has not substantially changed, to my knowledge, in all of the time that I've been here. It has not changed from the last tax collector to the current tax collector. The agreement is customary as far as elected officials serving in these types of roles is concerned. It is an agreement that reflects the significant responsibility that appointed officials have under this. And I said elected earlier, I meant appointed. That people in this position of trust who are appointed by the town council have. It is both customary and it is appropriate. As far as the concerns about delays of a week or just slightly more in depositing checks, that's something that, as you know, Mr. Chair, has come up from time to time, and it is something that we have worked to address and improve, and I think we've done a pretty good job at doing that. It's never instantaneous, both because of delays in the mail and delays in human-led processes. But I can tell you that there is no concern that I have, and there is no concern that anyone has ever communicated to me about, is the tax collector working enough? On the contrary, the tax collector is one of the hardest working people in the building, and so that is my response to that. I'm happy to answer any of the other questions the council may have this evening.
What do you want to do?
Chairman Franz, I'd like to make a motion to approve the tax collector, Allison M. Parsons.
All right, I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Chair votes in the affirmative. Appointment to the deputy town clerk.
Yes, Mr. Chair. This is a position like the tax collector position that is appointed periodically. The current appointment expires presently, and there is an appointment, this is the way the statute reads, an appointment by the town clerk subject to approval by the town council. So that is the same essentially appointment confirmation mechanism that exists for many other positions. This evening, the town clerk has appointed Allison Parsons to be the deputy town clerk. This is a return to a model that we observed in the past, and that appointment is before you this evening.
Okay, thank you. What does the council say?
Mr. Chair, I'd like to make a motion to appoint the deputy town clerk, Allison M. Parsons, for the assistant town clerk, deputy clerk.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Chair votes in the affirmative. Congratulations, Allison. Liaison reports. So John had sent out prior to this meeting an updated liaison reports. I'm in agreement with the liaison assignments, so those will stand. But does anyone have any liaison reports from this last time?
Not besides the new report from our new chair of the planning board of our new chair and the change of officers.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else? All right, town manager report.
Yes, I have a number of items this evening, Mr. Chairman. I wanted to just update the community. There was a visit that some of you saw on social media. Congressman Pappas met with some town leaders, including Vice Chairman Combs and Councilor Farrell on site in the 4A area. And that was to discuss $1.6 million in federal infrastructure funding that has been awarded recently for sewer and water infrastructure in the 4A area. This is important to, excuse me, some kind of moth just bombed me. So it was a nice visit with the congressman. We talked about other applications that we'll be making soon for similar significant federal dollars, and his support and the support of the Senate Appropriations Committee is also appreciated. There were some comments that Councilor Farrell made about how we've really been deliberate about controlling growth in town over the last 25 years. And a big part of that effort has been in the area of land conservation. We continue to conserve land, albeit through a different mechanism than we did in the past. In the past, we have raised money through the annual town meeting to do so. There have been changes that have been made to the distribution of land use change tax receipts over the last 10 years or so. And it is the case that a significant percentage of those land use change tax receipts are now earmarked for conservation. And out of the land acquisition fund that is funded by those land use change tax receipts, we recently, last week or the week before, closed on the Merrill Hill conservation transaction. That transaction was approved by the Town Council and the Conservation Commission. And I just wanted to applaud Ken Merrill and Caroline Schultz, the sellers of this parcel. They could have sold this significant conservation parcel in an area of town that is threatened by development for probably millions more than they sold it to the town for. So my thanks to them. It's an important piece to the town's conservation holdings, and I think that the Merrills deserve nothing but our thanks. The master plan has come up a lot recently, Mr. Chair, and I wanted to take a minute to talk about some work that we've done looking at the master plan, and I think to use Mr. DeFrancesco's phrase, kind of give ourselves a report card on where things stand. The assistant town manager and I have done a lot of work on this. She obviously brings her planning expertise to this effort, and we are going to be presenting to the planning board in April this report card. And for those of you on the council and in the audience who maybe haven't looked at the master plan in a while, there are approximately 82 recommendations from the 2013 master plan at the end of that. And they each have a time frame, they each have a stakeholder or stakeholders who are responsible. They have a funding source, and they have a dollar amount estimate attached to them. Of those 82 recommendations, based on our appraisal, there are, and understand that people can differ on, whether this is the case or not. There's room for healthy opinion and debate here. But by our appraisal, approximately 24 of the recommendations have been completed, 7 are in process, and 10 are moot, meaning they no longer apply or are no longer feasible based on circumstances that have occurred. So that number is actually exactly half, or roughly half, of the recommendations from the 2013 master plan have been addressed. That's not to pat ourselves on the back and say there's nothing left to be done. As has been pointed out, it is the 2013 master plan. It is not the 2023 or the 2024 master plan. It does need to be updated, but I wanted to update the council on what has occurred, what's in process, and what we think is no longer possible or advisable. And so we'll be having that in-depth conversation with the planning board coming soon. Mr. Chairman, I would like to mention as well, Councilor Farrell, as you and I have discussed, we have been in preliminary discussions with our bargaining units talking about Londonderry sponsoring a paid family leave plan. There's a lot of talk about paid family leave in New Hampshire and across the country right now. There is a state plan that all public employees are eligible for. However, Londonderry can sponsor a plan at no cost to itself, allow employees to opt into that plan for a small amount out of each paycheck. And the plan that we can sponsor, based on how the law is constructed, is more generous to employees than if they went through the state's plan, if that makes sense. And what does paid family leave do? Well, there are categories of leave that are protected by law for which there is no wage replacement. And those categories are primarily bonding leave following the birth or adoption of a child, and then leave taken to care for a family member with a serious medical condition. So this program, which has the support of all of our bargaining units based on preliminary discussions, this plan would allow and encourage our employees to take time with their families, at the beginning of life, at the end of life, and everywhere in between. So I think it's in a challenging recruitment and retention market, this is something that we can do at no cost to the taxpayers to assist in those efforts. So I wanted to update you on those efforts that are underway. Similarly, there was discussion during budget season about the, I'll call it uncontrolled increase in health insurance premiums that we've been seeing over the last few years. This is driven by a number of different factors coming out of the pandemic. People weren't using their health insurance benefits during the pandemic. People are not, we're not catching things as early, and therefore conditions are more expensive when people have started going back to the doctor. And so what the finance director and I told you during budget season was we need to find a way to bring these health insurance costs under control. And one way that we can do that is to incentivize employees not to take our health insurance. And we currently do that. Each of our bargaining units offers a buyout or a stipend for not taking our insurance. And I can tell you that we've done the math on this. So currently, with buyouts between $2,500 and $10,000 based on $2,500 and $10,000 based on the unit and the single family two-person coverage. We're currently saving, and these numbers are fresh as of during budget season. We're saving $735,000 versus what we would be paying if these people who are taking buyout were actually taking our insurance coverage. I think there's room for additional savings there. And so we're beginning those discussions with the bargaining units to see if we could increase the buyout to incentivize people to move off the insurance. And just as a reference point, right now a family plan is costing the town right around $41,000. So that's something that I think that we've been working on and that we think there is room for additional savings. Two more items, Mr. Chairman. I'm just over the moon about the result of the article number 3. I think that has been a team effort on all fronts, led by the town council, and particularly my thanks to you, Councilor Dunn, but also the entire town council, as I said at the water informational meeting, and our partners in Concord and in the community on the utilities committee. This is something that people, when they went to the ballot box, they understood. And I think that's a credit to everybody who, from the community who was involved in this effort. We're not resting on our laurels. This is something that we're working on today to talk about actually putting this project into place. And so that's something that is going to require a lot of work over the next period of time.
And for the record, we did ask Congressman Pappas for $200 million while we met with him. Mm-hmm. Figure you don't ask, you don't get.
If you don't ask, you don't get. That's exactly right. And that's
well, he asked what we needed.
He did. He pretty open-ended question, actually. That's right. And of note, as you know, Councilor Farrell, there is an effort to lower the standard to 4. That's going to make this a much bigger problem than it already is. And I think that if the standard goes down to 4 and there's not federal money that comes along with it, that's going to be a big problem.
Well, in all honesty, he didn't say no.
He did not say no.
He actually said there's money out there, and he took note of it.
He understands the scope of the problem. I'm fairly confident. So I just wanted to advise everybody that we met with with various stakeholders today. Our engineering department is involved and engaged. Our consultant is engaged, and this is something that I'm excited about what this project looks like, and then let me address the plan. As I said during the water informational, and I said throughout budget process, where this is a distribution, this is a supply project. What the voters just approved is a supply project. We need to get the water into the neighborhoods. And that's something that the chairman of the Utilities Committee and I have discussed, the Utilities Committee taking a leading effort on, figuring out where, when, and how this water goes into the neighborhoods is just as important as getting the supply down High Range Road. So that is underway. And then lastly, I thought Mr. Bouchard's comments about the mental health hospital were spot on. I see the same news stories that he does. This is a concern about calls for service to these kinds of facilities. It's something that we have a design review process that involves formally the police department and the fire department, and their review of this project is underway. I can tell you that both departments take this extremely seriously, and that to the extent they bring forward concerns, they're going to be put to the applicant, and we're going to have a serious conversation with the applicant about how we address these concerns. But I think that his comments were spot on, and I think that the public safety departments are on top of this. With that, Mr. Chairman, I am all set with my town manager report this evening. The assistant town manager is on vacation.
Thank you, Mr. Town Manager. All right, I want to thank everybody who came out and voted. It's definitely a very important part of our town governance, and also your vote is needed. So I want to thank all the election workers that tirelessly put in the effort. Our town clerk, our town moderator, thank you for all the hard work that you both put in leading and post. Also from DPW, our first responders with police and fire there. Thank you for the professionalism from the council as well. Next meeting we have will be April 8th here in the Moose Hill Council Chambers at 7 p.m. as well as April 22nd at 7 p.m. With that, I'll accept a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
I have a motion, a second.
Second.
I have a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Meeting adjourned.